Thank you, everybody, for joining me, and welcome to Live Life with Sean. I'm your host, Sean Higgins. I'm a lifelong information technology security expert with a passion for speaking, coaching, and writing. In this podcast, I'm going to talk about what's going on in my life, and I hope that by talking about it will help you with what's going on with your life. This show is recorded live, and you're invited to ask your questions to add to the discussion. And if I do not get to your questions during the show, I will do my best to answer them on my blog or on a future show. If you enjoy this content, please share it, subscribe it, like it, and or leave a comment, as this will help others find this podcast. And again, I'm very grateful to have you all here tonight. And first off, I want to thank everybody who reached out to me over last week's show. After I put that show to bed, I was like, whew, I really felt like I put myself out there and I wasn't really sure how it was going to land. And, a lot of people thanked me for it. And we had some conversations about it, about the content and what was going on, a little bit deeper about it. And it just really felt good. And, now, now I'm a little scared because, me personally, I felt that that's really where I want to take this show is I want to really show you what's going on within me and how I'm dealing with it. And last week was one of those shows where I think I finally lived up to where I really want to get from this show. And, I can't say that my life is that exciting, but, I hope that, by me sharing and hopefully I can get to that level and keep it there and really show you what's going on in here, what's going on within me, and really hope that it helps you as I tell you what's going on. And I'm going to just first off, I'm just going to take a deep breath right here. Because I've been, since last week's show, I mean, the first part of it was what's going to happen? Is anybody really going to care? And I was surprised with the people who reached out and talked about the show. What really freaks me out is people that I know who know me and know really what's going on in the situation reaching out. And I'm very grateful for it. I'm grateful for those people and thank you. And I'm going to do my best to keep getting to that level of really just showing you what's going on. And I just hope that it helps you. And with that, I'm going to, after producing that show last week, I was, I think that, well, who knows if I'm through the sadness because, it's, as I was thinking about the show, I really felt that it's going through some grief, grief that my boss is leaving. And you just don't know when that's going to sneak up on you again. And on the weekend, I sent the link to the show to my boss and said, look, I talked about you. And, I didn't know what he would say. And again, we had a deeper conversation and it was, he was appreciative of what I said and, it was a little sad to talk about it, but I'm hoping, to keep him as a friend even when he leaves working and moves on. And I hope that someday the border will open and I can go visit him in his 100-acre maple farm up in Michigan. So we'll see. We'll see. And I hope it's for a long time. It's been good this week that my coworker and I have set aside time with our boss, about a half hour a day, to talk about things that we don't understand about what we've been doing as a collaborative group. And it's been good, it's been educational, and it's been, I think it's also been good to just have some time with him, it's actually the three of us together, because there a lot of the times we were getting together was such a focused effort on making sure that, we got the information we either needed from a customer or we were developing the information that we needed to give the customer. And this is taking it to another level. And I think one of the things that I was hoping to talk about last week, but didn't get to it, was what's going to happen next. And as my boss was telling my friend and myself the news that he was leaving, in my heart, I knew that I needed to step forward and ask for the role. And I did. And, I just put it out there and just let it be. And, had a conversation with my boss about it, and he's all supportive of it. He's recommended me to move on and take over this role that I can hold it all together. I'm still a little worried about it because the team that we have really makes a whole. I mean, it's not any one of us that really can deliver the product that we deliver. It's a real combination. Yeah, there's some overlap between us, but there's a gap between my coworker and myself that my boss feels that we don't do today, which is a bit concerning, a little bit fearful. But I think that, it's after we've talked to him this week, I'm starting to feel better about it. I'm starting to get more into, what we're really doing and been thinking about, at least in my mind, what is the mission statement for the team? And, it's more about getting clarity for me so I can bring in what I think we need to do as a team and where the team needs to go, and is it going in the right direction? And I'm getting close to that mission statement. Maybe I haven't put it on paper yet, but I think that I need to at least to just put it out in front of me just so it's there. Getting back to the leadership, my boss supports me. And what this will do is that I'll report to my boss's boss, and my boss's boss I've reported to on and off for many years. I've known this guy for a long time. Lots of good, some not so good. And, recently haven't reported to him in a while. And I think part of it is he talks a different language. He talks financials and I talk customer. That's all I care about is the customer. I don't care about how much it costs to deliver, how much we're making on it. And I think that's because, and this is probably a lacking on my part, is that it has more, I have not been in control of that side of the equation. And I think that one of the things that the current team I'm on has done is taken more control over the cost of the service being delivered and been able to stand up and say, no, this is the price you have to charge or more. Whereas in the other leadership roles that I've had, the price was fully dictated by the sales team, and I had no control over that. So I focused on what I thought I should be doing, but I couldn't communicate with my new boss. Not the boss I have now, the new boss that I will have. And I think that caused a lot of friction. And it, and I think I avoided dealing with him. Part of it is, first off, he talked numbers. Second off, he controlled the numbers, so I had to only get the numbers when he delivered them. And, not seeing him until that time. And I didn't know where to get the numbers. And yes, probably lots of mistakes that I made. So, yeah, that made me a little bit fearful about dealing with him because I just wasn't talking the same language. And so the only times I really talked to him was when something was wrong. And who wants to talk to their boss only when something is wrong? It's not a good situation to be in. Um, you know, I am going to continue on, lead as if, which I have done before. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. And, you know, I think one of the things that in my writing, as I've been just kind of thinking about where I am, where I'm going, and, what I'm thinking about this role, I started to think about water. And the part of the reason that water came to me in my writings is as I was reading something, it said, get in the flow like water. And I sat there and I reflected about it for a while. And a couple of things that I realized. First off, water just flows. Okay. It doesn't really have a destination. It just kind of goes where it needs to go. When it runs into an obstacle, something that's going to slow it down, it does a number of things. And one of the things that water may do is it may go around that obstacle. Sometimes the water may sit there for a bit to build up some momentum until it can flow over or then start flowing around. So, you know, as I sat with that, I thought about that in my role and to just, you know, to know where the destination is and to go with the flow and keep working on getting to that destination, even though I kind of think that water may not have a destination. I mean, other than it may, it goes downhill. I think, that's the thing there. I don't know what the heck I'm talking about now. I'm just kind of rambling. Um, but I think the other thing with water is it just flows. It goes. It and I remember I feel back into as I get overwhelmed, what happens is I stuff myself up because I think that everything that I have to do, first off, I've got a lot of things, so that's part of the overwhelm. The other part of the overwhelm is that I feel everything has to be done now. And as I think back to water in that respect, the overwhelm is like I've hit an obstacle, and sometimes I just need to wait, build up some momentum, and figure out how I'm going to tackle the obstacle. Hmm. As I think about that now, it's a better perspective than to, it's like when I think about overwhelm, I try and think to myself to tell myself to take a breath and slow down. And as I look at the water perspective of that, water may hit this obstacle and stop for a moment, build up some momentum as other water joins it, and then it will figure out where it's going to go. Is it going to go over? Is it going to go around? And that's like the slowing down. So when I get the overwhelm and I think that everything has to be done now, you know, I think that's where the water plays in. And I think about doing this role as the leader of this role, dealing with the new boss. And am I willing? to go at my pace, at my flow. When I know my new boss is very demanding, now, am I willing to just take that breath instead of just responding right then and there to wait until I know the answer? Hmm. I'm sorry, I'm sitting here just feeling into that answer, and it just feels like the right thing to do, the right thing to be in that moment. And maybe that's been part of my problem is that, the feel of the rush and just feeling that I just gotta go, go, go. I think there's a time to go, and there may be a time to just be slow. And as I look back at how I work best, there are times when I just go, go, go because you just get in that groove. I don't want to say groove, but you get in that flow and it's just a rush. The ideas are coming, the information is coming. And, it's like when I'm working on the reports for this team, it's bursts of energy that, when I'm producing a report for this team, for the team that I'm on now, it usually happens over 3 or 4 days. Sit with it, fill in a few things, come back, fill in a few more things, come back, maybe have a bigger rush, and then polish it the rest of the week. But it's not staring at it all the time and saying, "Okay, help me answer." It's okay. I'm in the flow now. Put it away. And what I think that does for me, it allows my mind to do some percolation on what we're doing for this client and allows me to come up with some creative ideas that I can do the next day. And what I'm asking myself is, can I stand in that space, stand in my space, my time? And it doesn't mean procrastinate, you still have deadlines that things need to get done. But sometimes it just takes a sitting, just to sit and just to be with your thoughts and see where they're going to take you. And hmm, I like that. Be like water. I and and it's more than just being in that flow. It's knowing that you're going to hit obstacles and you may go around them, you may go over them, you may have to wait to make a decision on which way you're going to go. Take a moment, just sit with that. And I can imagine myself just sitting and floating on water, whether I'm in a canoe or on a raft, and just being with that flow. If you've ever been down a river, you know that it sometimes meanders nice and slow, and sometimes it's a bit faster. And sometimes it's really fast. And in those different times in the flow, you've got different ways you need to pay attention and or react. If the water is meandering, you can just relax. Gently steer the boat so you can move down the river, maybe paddle a little bit. As it gets a little faster, you've got to be a little more aware of what's going on. And as it gets really fast, you really have to pay attention. I mean, if you've ever gone whitewater rafting, you really need to know what you're doing. Well, okay. You may not need to know what you're doing, but you need to pay attention. I mean, I've been whitewater rafting. I didn't really know what I was doing, but there was a guide in the boat telling us what we needed to do. If you're in a certain spot on a boat, you're paddling a certain way, and but when you're making those moves down those rapids, you've got to be aware of what you're doing, how you're doing it, and just going with that flow. Whew. Yeah, I remember going down those rapids. It was a lot of fun. And it's interesting that at certain parts of going through the rapids, you're paddling like the Dickens. And then there's some parts, it's like, okay, everybody we're in it for the ride now because the water takes over. But it's paddling to get into that right groove, so you don't get yourself in trouble. And hmm, and I think that the thing to keep in mind here is the water's not always fast. It's not always slow. Changes, it turns. I don't think I've ever seen a river that is straight. It goes around bends and curves and wears things down. Hmm. So I'm wondering, can I take this approach into the role that I'm taking on, this leadership role, and make it work? As I was thinking about, some of the other leadership roles that I've had, um, one of the things that the other leadership roles that I had is they kind of took me out of what I love to do. I love to be in front of the client. I love to be working with them. I love to help them with where they're going. And the role that I'm in now has been in that space of really helping clients and being in front of them. And the boss that I have now, he's the leader of the team, but he is intricately involved in what we are doing, in the talking with the client, in the preparing of the report, in the presentation of the report. So, you know, that is that is one thing that I appreciate about this role is that I still get to work closely with the client. And it's one thing that I missed in some of the leadership roles that I've had before. And what I'm learning is I have to work a lot closer with sales, which is something that I haven't done a lot of in the past. We've had salespeople who've been very technically savvy and haven't needed the people on the technical side to help them sell the deal and close a deal, which is good and which is bad. It's good because the tech people can focus on what they do and the sales people can focus on what they do, but that also is a divide. And what I'm seeing with this new role is that working with the sales to help drive something forward. And to be creative. I think that we've got a couple of projects coming up that are going to stretch the team. It's doing something different that we haven't done before. And I think that, I worry about that, because as being a technical guy, I like things black or white. I like to know where I'm going specifically. And I think in being in this new role, in working with sales, it's hmm, having a toolkit, but it's different. You know, it's being willing to go beyond what's in the current toolkit. And with this role, it means that going beyond where I am comfortable with, because we're going to start talking to customers about things that myself and my team may not fully understand, but the customer really needs our help. And I think that that's part of what we need to keep in mind and why I got back to I was thinking about a mission statement, again, for myself to help me kind of have a guiding post of where are we going with this team? And, just maybe it's a measuring stick to say, and maybe part of it is, well, I know part of it is to help customers on their journey. And try not to be too specific with that because if I get too specific about helping customers on their journey, will I ignore some of the things that they are need help in because I got too specific in how I might help them? Interesting. Sorry. As I am talking to you about this, it is almost as if I'm sitting in front of my computer and writing it. So I'm sorry if I pause to think about it because I'm trying to generate that idea. And yeah, I'm gonna have to sit down and no, maybe I don't need to sit down and focus on that mission statement anymore because I think that I've got it is helping customers on their journey. It's in information security, so I think that's about the only thing, and I think how we help them is important, but what we help them in is not as important as how. Mm. Yeah, how is listening to them, understanding them, seeing where they are going, and then helping them formulate the next steps in that process. Hmm. I hope that's been helpful for you. It's been very helpful for me. I'm looking forward to where this role is going to take me. And thank you for allowing me to share it with you because I'm a little more excited about where I'm going. And, it's going to be a challenge, but again, I'm in front of customers. I love being in front of customers and I love helping them. And I think I can do it in this role. And I think that it can be a lot of fun. When I started in this role, jeepers, it was beginning of January. I wasn't really sure. I mean, I was being in front of customers and kind of had an idea what I was doing, but I thought the two guys that were doing it were doing a great job and what could they use me for? And now here I am, I'm looking to step up and lead the team. So I'm just going to really have to keep breathing with that because, as I sit here and talk to you, I can feel myself expanding into the role and the role expanding with me. And whereas a lot of the time I've spent here, I've been kind of worried about that. So thank you. Thank you for listening to me. I hope that it's been helpful for you. You know, uh, if you'd like to book a coaching session with me, just go to my website. Okay, there's a Connect with Sean link there. Click on it, fill out your information. Let's sit down and we'll have a talk. Or reach out to me. I mean, many people have found me on social media and through work, and if whatever method you want to connect with me and just let me know. Let me know if this helped you, if it didn't, if you want me to talk about something different, I'll try and do it. Thank you. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share it, subscribe to it, like it, and or leave a comment because that will help others find this podcast. And tonight I was trying to produce a show for you. I think I produced the show for me, so I hope it helped. And all I can say is thank you again. And until next time, have a wonderful week.